Hey, 325ers. I just want to get started by talking about my sources and how those are going to be related throughout my paper. One of my first sources is from William Bradford. Came to the American Plymouth plantation. In William Bradford's writings, he explains the governing of the American colony Plymouth plantation during the 1620s, about 1642. He describes his duties and what he did during this. He covers the events that occurred during this time. He touches on subjects of Cape Cod in 1620, John Carver. He talks about the preparations that were made for the settlement and how they went about that. He talks about all the illness that happened, a lot of it on the ship to this colony on the way over, a lot of it that continued when they were actually in the colony, and how they dealt with that sickness, and talks about all the people they really lost during this time. My second source is about Irish immigrants. It was written by Alun Davies. In these letters, he's an Irish immigrant. He depicts what his life was like for him and a lot of the other Irish immigrants in this time period, about 1776 and 1777. He writes letters home talking about his life here. He talks about the political struggles, the economic struggles, and just the culture during this time period, and explains what he went through and what others went through in his community. My third source I wanted to touch on was written by Edward Mead. It's about Chinese immigration to the United States. He talks about this. This is his speech that he gave to the Social Science Association of America in 1877. He speaks about the immigration of the Chinese to the United States and the harsh treatment that they actually get. This investigation shows the opposition to the Chinese labor and the ethnic and economic grounds that they're mistreated on. He talks about the criticism that the Chinese are given and is speaking out against that, on how he doesn't think it's right. My last source is from really the forced African immigration and the slave trade. This source is going to be from African American Sylvia Cannon. Is going to tell her story about being a slave during the slave period and about the 1800s. Whites bought and sold African Americans during this time. She talks about the harsh treatment that the slaves got and how slaves weren't treated as people, they were treated as property. She goes over her personal living conditions on a plantation and the treatment she received. She really talks about just being a slave and who her masters were and how her masters treated her and just their attitudes during this period, how they are similar to a lot of others during this period. When I have all these sources, we gain a better understanding of how the United States is a nation of immigrants, and that these sources can show us a small picture of the history of the immigration to the United States, and then how we see that immigration progress today. This is the legacy of immigration. Most immigrants came here for a better life, with the exception of the African Americans who were forced immigration here. But the majority of immigrants are leaving their country, their home country, to come here to find a better life. For example, like the Irish immigrants who came here because of the potato famine. They left their country to come here to look for work and hope for a better life, have money, and even send money home to their families that did not immigrate here. We see that today. We see many people that are still wanting to come here today to find a better life. America has higher paying jobs. They can come here and do the same work that they're doing in another country, but get paid more for it. Immigrants are coming here because they're many times pushed here. They are coming to the U.S. to find work at a chance at a better life. The second part, really, of the legacy of immigration is that we have to remember that even though we are a nation of immigrants, we have always discriminated against immigrants. We never have liked people that are different from us, people that fall out of that whiteness category that we've always talked about throughout this class. Discrimination is present in today. We discriminate against immigrants and people who are different from us.